Hello children. Do you know what this is? This is the bin where I put my food waste, vegetable peelings and things like that. Ooh, it's very smelly. Our story today is about somebody who wanted to eat food like that. The sort of food you would give to a pig. This story was told by Jesus. It was a parable, and a parable was a story that Jesus told the people that was very simple, but it had a very important meaning. Once there was a father who had 2 sons. One day the younger son came and said to his father, "Could you give me my inheritance, father?" Now the inheritance was all the money or property or land that the children would receive after their father had died. Now the father loved his son very much and wanted him to be happy, so he agreed to give his sons their share of the money now, and so he divided it up between them. Soon after the younger son had received all his money, he decided to go to another country, far away, where he could have lots of fun spending it. The father felt very sad. He knew he would miss his son terribly. But the young man just wanted to go off into the world and have a great adventure. So he packed his money into a bag and off he went. When he arrived in the new city, he wasted no time in spending his money. He had enough to buy anything he wanted. He bought fancy clothes and went to lots of parties and made lots of friends who only liked him because he had lots of money. The problem was that quite soon all his money ran out. He had no money left for parties or to spend on his friends, and one by one they began to disappear. They didn't want to be around him anymore now he had spent everything. In the country where he was living, a famine came. Do you know what a famine is, boys and girls? It's when there hasn't been any rain for a very long time. And all the food growing in the fields, all the crops, can't grow. And it dies, and the people have nothing to eat. Oh dear. Now the son was in big trouble. He had no money, nowhere to live, and worse still, he had nothing to eat. He knew he must try and get a job somehow, but the only job he could find was with a farmer who had some pigs. His clothes became all ragged and dirty, looking after the pigs, and he even had to sleep in the yard with the pigs. He was so hungry he wished he could eat the rotten food that he had to feed the pigs, just like the food in my waste bin. One night, as he lay in the dust with the pigs snoring next to him and his tummy was rumbling and grumbling, he began to think about his good father and the lovely home he had left behind. Why, he thought, even my father's servants have more than me. They have plenty of food and nice beds to sleep on. And then he decided he would have to go home and face up to his father and say sorry. Sorry for leaving and wasting all that money. He knew he had done many wrong things and didn't deserve his father's love. He knew he could never be called a son again, but he would beg his father to let him work as a servant and look after the animals on the farm. And so it was. Early the next morning, before even the pigs were awake, he set off on the long journey back home. After many days of walking, he finally came close to his home. And guess who he saw in the distance? Why, it was his father, looking down the road. And then, suddenly, his father started running towards him. Was his father angry? No, he was overjoyed to see his son coming home, and he threw his arms around him and he gave him hugs after hugs. Then the son began his speech that he had been practicing all the way home about how sorry he was and he would work for his father as a servant. But his father forgave him in that moment and told his servants to go and prepare a big celebration dinner because they were going to have a huge party for his son who had come home. And he gave his son a beautiful cloak to wear instead of his rags, and sandals, gold sandals for his tired, aching feet, and a gold ring. The father in this story is like God. This is how God feels if we do things we shouldn't. He doesn't give up on us when we make mistakes. No, he's always looking out for us and waiting to forgive us when we say we're sorry. So let's ask God to help us always do the right thing and stay close to him. Goodbye, children, and have a lovely week.